Alrighty. Hey guys, this is demographics lesson video number 2. Video number 2. I can't go for more than a half hour, so I am starting my timer. This camera won't record more than 1/2 hour. Alright, so we left off. You guys were going to open up your Ian, my regular government, my AP guys. Hey, AP guys, this is what I want you to do. In your notes, I want you to make a box, like a highlight box, when it is otherwise going to be an Ian. And then answer me the question in your notes. All right, so the question was examples of population characteristics that impact voting, either how people vote, whether people vote, turnout, or how they will vote, Democrat or Republican. I opened up a bunch of your Ians. You have some great ideas. I gave you age. Is age a big factor? Ooh, I'm going to show you the data. Some other ideas, you guys said race. Does it matter whether you vote or how you will vote depending on your race? I will show you some amazing data. What else did you guys have? Religion. Religion, interesting. If I could pick one factor, one group, and automatically tell you how they're going to vote, I would pick evangelical Christians, born-again Christians, who vote overwhelmingly and overwhelmingly vote Republican, right? Income. Boy, do rich people vote? I am going to show you some amazing data. Education. Do people that are educated have a tendency to vote more? Yeah, I'm going to show you. Let's look at some data. All right, so I'm here where, some of you said region, or, where you live, urban, rural, race, education. Some people said the kind of job you have. That's interesting, Is a union coal miner going to vote one way, and a stockbroker in Manhattan going to vote another way? Great points. All right, take a look at this. So this is the election for president by county. The election for president by county. Now remember, Trump lost the election by 2.8 million votes. What the heck? Look what Trump won. So all the red are where Trump won, and all the blue are where Clinton won. Fair to say that is a sea of red? That is a sea of red? Interesting. But, look closer, look closer. What is this? What is this? Starts with a D. Yep, Dallas. What is this? Starts with an H. Houston. What's this? I think that's Austin, isn't it? What is this? Miami. What's this? Tampa Bay. What is this? Manhattan. What is this? Chicago. Where is the Mississippi? I think this is probably, that's probably St. Louis. A few years ago, I had a student. They were like, "Oh yeah, we lived. My parents, we lived in a small college town, and the small college town was right there, in Missouri. Otherwise, a sea of red, a small college town. San Francisco, L.A., San Diego, Oregon, Washington. So, urban, urban cities. How do they vote? They vote Democrat, right? Country people out in the country, farms, they vote Republican. Now, this is where everybody lives, right? This is where the major population centers are. Okay. Arizona. I'm going to check and make sure this is recording. Is this recording? Yeah. All right. Arizona is interesting. Here is Arizona. Arizona is weird. Arizona is a Republican sandwich with Democratic bread. What is this? Pima County with Tucson. What is this? Coconino County with Flagstaff. So Phoenix is red. Maricopa County is red. And with Pima County and Coconino County. So, wild, huh? Crazy map? Now, Trump won about 2,600 counties. Clinton won about 500 counties. But those 500 counties are where the people live. They also are, not inconsistently, logically, where most of the gross domestic product is generated. GDP, you're going to learn that. My regular Gov people next semester. My AP guys remind me to explain it to you. It's called gross domestic product, GDP. It's the measure of all of the value of all the goods and services that is produced by Americans in 1 year. By the way, all right. Okay, so when you are thinking about demographics and elections and politics, well, let me ask you, does President Trump want to be reelected? Do members of Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives want to be reelected? Does this stuff matter? Does demographics matter? If you want to win an election, does it matter? If you want to stay in power and get reelected, does it matter? And the answer is yes. All right, so for elections and politics, demographics says a lot about two big things. I meant to say about two big things. Number one, voter turnout. Does a demographic group vote? If they don't vote, who cares? Nobody's going to pay attention to them. That's also known, my AP people, as voting participation. Those two are kind of synonymous, turnout or participation. The second thing, demographics, a demographic group will tell you about themselves is voting behavior. What is voting behavior? Voting behavior is what you do when you go into the voting booth. Do you vote Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or Green Party? We'll talk about other parties, but principally Republican or Democrat. Now this is similar, but not exactly the same as ideology. Ideology is, are you a liberal or are you a conservative? I get it, Democrats vote liberal, more so. Republicans vote conservative. These days, if you are a Democrat, you're more likely a liberal or a progressive. It's very hard to find a conservative Democrat. It is very hard to find a liberal Republican. But it didn't always used to be that way. Before the 1960s civil rights movement, the Democrats in the South were the Southerners were all Democrats. Why weren't they Republicans? Well, no Southern person would be caught dead voting for the Republican Party, which beat them in the Civil War. Now there has been what's called a realignment, and Southerners have moved, who were always conservative. Were Southerners always conservative? Yes. They went from being conservative Democrats to being conservative Republicans, and now there are, only one or two Democratic senators in the Senate from the South. All right? Okay. First, we have to go through some terminology. All right? First, we have to go through on some terminology. You regular Gov people, in another tab, open up your EN. And we're going to go to the next slide, which is slide 3. My AP Gov people put a box in, because both of you must know by heart the difference between a presidential election and a midterm election. Presidential election and a midterm election. What is the difference? All right, I have a couple hints. Here's a saying to remember it by. 2, 4, 6, maybe 8. Who don't we appreciate? The federal government. And the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of even-numbered years. Are we in an even-numbered year? Yes, we are. 2020. So, what is the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of 2020? That is when we are going to have the general election. AP students, write that down. General election. General election. This is when we have general elections. I'm going to explain all of you the difference between a general and a primary election in the next lesson. All right. So, what's a presidential election? What's a midterm election? All right. Well, I have as a handout attached in your Google Classrooms, I have a copy of the Constitution. So why don't you guys take a moment, find that tab, and then go, I have it, AP, I have it under founding, your 9 foundational documents. Regular government, I have it under foundational docs. All right, ignore that first stuff. Okay, there are 3 institutions that are going to be elected. The office of the presidency, the United States Senate, and the House of Representatives. All right, so now you guys be thinking about this because I'm going to have you distill this information in your EN3 or AP in your box. Okay, here's the Constitution. Article 1 says there is going to be a Congress consisting of a Senate and a House. All right, where does the 2 come from? The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every 2nd year. All right, remember, 2, 4, 6, maybe 8. Who don't we appreciate? What's the 2? The 2 is the House of Representatives. There are 435 members of the House of Representatives. In a later lesson, I'm going to show you how that works. All right? How we come up with that number. Let me get rid of this. Okay, 4. Where does the 4 come from? Where is the 4? Well, for the 4, we have to scroll down to Article 2. Where is Article 2? All right, I'm going to keep, oops, past it. Article 2. Here we go. Article 2, Section 1. By the way, there's 7 articles in the Constitution. Shortest Constitution in the world. Oldest working Constitution in the world. Less than 5,000 pages. Crazy. The President shall hold his office during the term of 4 years. All right, so now we've got the 2, and now we've got the 4. All right, how about the 6? For the 6, we have to go to Article 1, Section 3. Article 1. Article 1, Section 3. Here's Article 1, Section 1. Article 1, Section 2. Article 1, Section 3. I'll explain these lineouts later. It's when they were changes by amendment. The Senate shall be composed of 2 senators per state, and they will serve for 6 years. All right, so now we know the 6. 2, 4, 6, maybe 8 is the 22nd Amendment that said the president is limited to 2 terms. All right, so the 8 is the 22nd Amendment, 2 terms max for a president. All right, but if you look at Article 1, Section 3, Paragraph 2, it says that the senators are going to be broken into 3 classes. Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. And each those classes, it's going to be 1 class every 2 years. 1 class every 2 years. So, here's the question that I want you to answer in your Ian and in your square, my AP people. Okay, I want you to define a presidential election by who gets elected. In a presidential election, who gets elected? Well, the president, right? How much of the House? There are 435 members. They serve 2-year terms. How much of the House? Every last one of them. How much of the Senate? 1/3. There's 100 senators, 1/3, about 33 or 34. So in a presidential election, it is the president. How much of the House? All of it. How much of the Senate? 1/3. All right. What's this year? 2020. Is President Trump up for re-election? Yes. What election is this? Presidential or midterm? All right. Now remember, the elections happen every 2 years. So 2 years ago it was a what? 2018. What was 2018? 2018 was a midterm. Who got elected? How much of the House? 2020. All right, so we have the president, we have the House, and we have 1/3 of the Senate, right? 2018, we just have what? Don't have the president, the House, and 1/3 of the Senate. 2016, what was 2016? 2016, presidential? Yes, 4-year terms. President. How much of the House? All of it. How much of the Senate? 1/3. When is our next federal election going to be? 20? Even numbered years. 2022. Who's going to get elected? The House. How much of the Senate? 1/3. All right. You guys get it? So, what's 2024? Presidential. 2026, midterm. 2028, presidential. Everybody get it? All right. Now, I wanted to talk about presidential versus midterm elections because guess what election more people show up on? Particularly you guys, young people. Squirrel, it's the president, let's vote. And then when the midterm election comes, guess what happens to turnout? Boom, it plummets, all right? So I'm going to show you data from the 2008 presidential election. I know it's kind of, it seems like it's old data. It's the same story that's going on. It's the same thing that's going on. This is just the best report I've been able to find. The census has not come up with another report. So, just trust me, this data is still good, even though it is back from 2008. Okay, so by the way, these are in your demographics lesson under materials for you to be able to look at them yourself. All right, but I'm going to open, first of all, I'm going to open this one. Whoops. Why is that not? Oh, interesting. I have to get out of the show, I guess. And while I'm at it, I will open, I'll open this one too. All right, here we go. All right, the first one I want to show you is this report. All right, so this is voting and registration in the November 2008 election. Now, this was a special election because it was when President Obama was elected the first time. Everybody was all excited about it, particularly who? Yes, you guys, young people. Young youth turnout was through the roof and pathetic. All right, but I want to show you something about this because, and My AP Gov guys, do a quick note on this. The rest of you just listen. But at the beginning of the report, they have this data here. So this is interesting. They say voters among the total population, the citizen population, and the registered voting age population. So this chart is for people in the United States that are voting age and up, 18 years old and over. So in 2008, there were 225 million, this is in thousands, 225 million people living in the United States. And out of all the people, 58% of those people voted. Now, you have to be a citizen to vote. It's not in the Constitution, but every state has that as a requirement. So of the citizen population, there were 206 million people and 131 million people voted. That was 63% of the population. Almost 64, 63.6. Check it out. In the most exciting election in decades with a turnout, knocking it out of the park, we almost got to 64% of citizens. Pretty pathetic, right? All right, but check this out. Of people that were registered to vote, what percentage of people that were registered actually voted? And that number is almost 90%. So my AP kids, write this down. 90% of registered voters voted. If I was going to pick one demographic to decide whether somebody was going to vote or not, I would pick registered voters. Because, you know what? If you're registered, you're probably going to vote. Guess what I'm going to get all of you guys to do before this semester is over? I'm going to try and get you all registered, all right? By the way, yes, if you're going to be 18 by November 3rd, can you vote in the election? The answer is yes. I'm going to get you registered to vote next week for the November 3rd election. You can register now, even if you are not 18 right now, as long as you will be 18 by November 3rd. All right? All right, how am I doing? Get 7 more minutes. Okay, so now my AP kids, if you have a printer, I want you to print, actually all of you guys, if you have a printer, I want you guys to print this. I want you to print this document, all right? I want you to print this document. Okay, this is just the same report we were looking at, that census report, but with the information highlighted. Okay, so this is in the 2008 presidential election, right? 2008 presidential election. How are we doing? Are we doing okay? Hold on. Yep. All right. Who voted more? Men or women? Women, right? In the presidential election by about what? By about 4 percentage points? That's a lot, right? That's a lot. Why don't we have, look, we've got about 25%, 20% of, 20 or 25%, I forget, of Congress is women. Ladies, if you're voting like this, then how many should be women in Congress? You said 50%. Why 50%? If you vote like this, you can win every single election. It could be 100, right? This is going to go away in midterms. Watch, this, with women voting more than men, number one, is going to go away in midterms. Write that down, AP kids. And also is not the gender gap. Women voting more in presidential elections is not the gender gap. I'm going to teach you what the gender gap is. All right. Race. Stunning data, isn't it? Stunning data. Now, I don't know the difference between white alone and white alone non-Hispanic. The Census Bureau is trying to differentiate with like people maybe who of Cuban heritage or Mexican heritage who are white. but from Mexico, so forget that. Just focus on this. So look at the difference. Who votes more? Whites or minorities? Whites or minorities? Now you could say, wait a minute, African Americans, wow, they did almost as well as whites. What the heck? President Obama was on the ticket. African Americans had a chance to vote for an African American president. I am stunned by this number. Why is this number not 95%? If I was an African American, and with the history of our country, I had a chance to vote for an African American for president, would I do it? Would I get off my butt and go do it? Is there something wrong with that? Is there something immoral about an African American voting for an otherwise qualified African American? No. White people do it all the time, right? My Hispanic students, you have a problem in your community. Whites, look, if whites are voting at 66% and you guys are voting at 50%, are there government policies where whites might be on one side and Hispanics are on another? Yeah, like what? What's one? Starting with an I. Immigration. All right, who's going to win? Who's going to win? Are lawmakers going to pay attention to whites above Hispanics? Remember this number because it is going to come full circle later in the lesson. So who votes for it? Whites or minorities? By a little or a lot? Oh, God. Embarrassing. This is embarrassing for you guys. Who votes more? Old people or young people? Look at these numbers. Remember, this is the 2008 presidential election. This was you young people, your shining moment where you guys came to the polls and voted in droves. Look at that, a whole amazing 48.5%. You almost made it to 1/2. Look at this. Look at this number here. 72%. Why does it start going down? I mean, they're so old they literally can't move to get to the polls, right? So old they can't get to the poll. Look at this. This is a ratio of 3 to 2. This is a ratio of 3 to 2. Are there issues where old people are on one side and young people are on the other? Heck yes. Gee, are you going to pay for college? We're going to talk about that. What side are old people on? Man, they don't care about you guys, right? Okay. So, who votes more? Old people or young people? By a little or a lot? Education. Boy, who needs to vote? Look, people that don't graduate high school versus people with an advanced degree. A huge difference, right? Huge difference. People that finish college, people that get a master's or a PhD. I have a law degree, which counts as, it's called a Juris Doctor. So I'm in this group. Man, look at this number. This number is crazy. This number is crazy. Do rich people vote? Look at this. Look at this number. People making over $100,000 a year. Look at this. 91.8. Now, look. You're going to learn in economics about like a natural unemployment rate. About 3 or 4%. Even at full employment, there's about 3% of people that aren't working. Look, there has to be a natural non-voting rate. Your kid is sick. You're traveling. You're in a foreign country. You're in the hospital. Something happened. If that's true, then, you know, the natural non-voting rate has to be like 8%, which means what? Every last stinking rich person does what? What do they all do? They vote. And why are they voting? Is it because they perceive it as a way to protect their money? All right. What else?